is a presentation of Fox Sports.
We are Baltimore. We are Florida.
On a gorgeous Sunday here in Milwaukee, Miller Park, it's a home game for the Fish, sort of, as the Brewers and the Marlins finish off this three-game series. Rather than sit inside Miller Park, we figured we'd be out here with the people. You gotta love it. This is a great tailgating place. Rich Waltz along with Todd Hollinsworth, Marlins and Brewers. They've split the first two of this series. First of all, Todd, there we go. We got good folk out here. We got brats.
In the league.
We got beers. For Miami,
right.
Key yesterday. Lineup, from the top of the lineup, they got off to a great start.
Well, it was a great start yesterday for the Marlins. When they score first, much like the Brewers, they typically win, and you saw it yesterday. Great approach going up against Davies yesterday. They stayed inside the baseball. They got a lot of hits. They fed off each other. The offense started to roll. Good things happened. There's a good opportunity that could happen again today. You've got Woodruff going for the Brewers. He's only making his sixth big league start.
What are you grilling here?
Some brats.
What are you eating there? Let's talk Dylan Peters, starting pitcher for the Marlins. Peters, in this environment, he does not seem to be flustered at all.
No, he certainly has not. He's proven that, you know what, he's going to come up into the big leagues. His first three starts have been really, really strong. He hasn't wavered, and I think the test was that last start in Philadelphia. How good was he over 6 innings when he didn't have his best stuff, didn't have the good curveball. It was inconsistent. He walked 4, he hit 2 guys, but he made it through 6 innings, only a couple earned runs. Expect more of the same today in this homer-happy ballpark.
All right, before we eat, we just have to say the people of Milwaukee have been so good to the Marlins, so good to us. They invited us out here for a little barbecue. So hats off to everybody. Hats off to all of you Brewer fans. Thank you for your hospitality. Anytime. All right, we got starting lineups and first pitch coming up. tailgate in baseball. Now that she's done snacking, let's check in with Jessica Blaylock. Jess?
Thanks so much, Rich. One great thing about coming to Milwaukee, they love their baseball here. Fans even tailgate before games, like Greg and his family. So, Greg, tell me, what's on the grill today?
We just got brats and burgers, same thing, a little can of beans, chips. We got taking it easy today. Normally we get a little more steaks or something, but brats and burgers are always good.
And even though you're wearing a Brewers jersey, you said you were out here to support the Marlins, right?
That's right. We got a friend Nikki that lives down in Cutler Bay. Said she just got home the other day. It's like, well, we can go to the Marlins game. She should be here. We told her to come back, but she stopped in Alabama for like the last 10 days, and now she's back home again.
Were you excited about having a couple of extra baseball games to come to?
Oh, yeah, this is awesome. And it's cheap. $10.
That is true. Well, I might have to grab one of those burgers.
Oh, yeah.
This is the way to go. All right, perfect. Thanks, Greg. When we return, it is first pitch in the finale of the series here in Milwaukee between the Marlins and the Brewers. Rich Waltz and Todd Hollinsworth will have the call for you next on your home for Marlins baseball, Fox Sports Florida.
Marlins Baseball, Fox Sports Florida is brought to you by the all-new Jeep Compass. By your local Toyota dealers, let's go places. And by Southwest, transparency, low fares, nothing to hide. At home on the road with a Brewer and a Marlin logo. They're selling those here. Proceeds go to hurricane relief. And to make the Marlins feel at home, yeah, that's right. Up on the scoreboard, it's not a Brewers video that starts the games. It's a Marlins video introducing the starting lineup and all of the guys on the roster. Very cool. The people here have been absolutely terrific.
Very gracious, very hospitable.
Let's stay out in the tailgate while we do the Brewers order. It's brought to you by Southwest. Hernan Perez gets the start at second. Domingo Santana in right. Ryan Braun's been in there for all three games. So is Travis Shaw. Jesus Aguilar, very good against lefties. Manny Pena, very good behind the plate. Keon Broxton out in center. Orlando Arcia is the shortstop, and he's hurt the fish. And Brandon Woodruff is in the 9 spot.
All right, let's talk a little Dylan Peters making his 4th big league start. He's been good. 2.50 ERA, as you see there. Still looking for that first big league win. That has more to do with run support than effort on his end. Last start, he did not have his best stuff, but he survived. He made pitches. He competed. He battled. Didn't have the curveball. Walked a few guys. Hit a couple batters. But he made it through. 6 solid innings. There you go. 6 hits, a couple earned runs. He gave his team a chance to win. Expect that from Dylan Peters today. That curveball, it is a huge pitch for him. 138 batting average against. 21 swing and misses on his curveball already. That's more than all of his other pitches combined.
Miami's defense. Oh, look out. A little cornholing going on in the parking lot.
All right, pay attention today. A few changes in there for Sunday's game. Ozuna, Yelich, and Ichiro over in right field. Stanton is gonna rest for a little bit. Dietrich, Rojas, D. Gordon, Justin Bour, JT Realmuto behind the plate for Dylan Peters.
Don Mattingly very pleased with the ball club's bounce back yesterday after Friday night getting beat 10-2. Friday was a tight game. It was 2-2 until the big 8th inning by the Brewers. Last night, Milwaukee got a run in the first, and then the Marlins jumped them for 4 in the bottom of the first. Yeah, that's right. This is top 1. Marlins, the home team. First pitch swing. Perez puts it in the air. Yelich calling and catching with a little help from Marcell Ozuna. So a pitch and an out for Peters. It's been an open roof in the first 2 games. It hasn't really mattered because it's been dark. The good news, I think, for the hitters, see the forecast where it says overcast skies? That's important because the windows, as you see, that are up above, the sun shines in from the first base side when it's sunny, and that can play havoc with hitters. So if it stays overcast, I think everybody will be happy.
Right. It's one of those ballparks where the shadows do affect day games here any time of year. It's just the way the place is built with the roof open. The only thing you have to worry about is that ball is ripped foul on the third base line. There's a slight chance of rain, I think, in the middle innings. That 5th or 6th inning, right around 2:30, 3 o'clock, I heard that there's the potential. We'll see if the roof stays open. Doesn't take too long to close this place up, though.
There's the breaking ball, and that's really been a plus pitch for Peters throughout his career as a Texas Longhorn and as a Miami Marlin farmhand. And now here in the big leagues, it's translated to success as well. Another breaking ball, and that's by Gordon, who dove after it. Ichiro picks it up. Santana has a base hit. Ryan Braun now. Former Miami Hurricane has been in there for all 3 ball games. Injury shortened season for him. Calf injury.
It's 39 games this year. Had a real strong game yesterday. 301st home run of his career. Of course, that's all-time leader for the Brewers. Also had a double. I'll give you another look at it. This was yesterday against the lefty. Obviously, you see Conley out there. That pitch up and out. And Braun, again, a line-to-line hitter throughout his career. You see that power to right. He's got it. At Miller Park, that ball will fly to right field and just tucked it inside the foul pole.
Peter steps off. Braun has been essentially the face of the franchise since he arrived here. Had such a great start to his career. This is the 11th year as a Brewer, franchise homer leader, and a lot of other categories as well. Peters misses up. MVP season back in 2011, a 6-time All-Star. 5 Silver Sluggers. In that very first year, he was also the National League Rookie of the Year. Kerwin Danley calling balls and strikes. Bill Miller, Ryan Addington, and Todd Titchener on the bases.
Well, one thing to always keep your eye on with Dylan Peters, that 2-seamer. We talk about the curveball. It's fun to watch. Definitely gets good results so far this season with it. The two-seamer is a big part of what he does. He's got to be able to throw it for strikes in hitters' counts and get ground balls. Dry on that.
Braun gets a look at the breaking ball, and it counts 2 balls and 2 strikes. Milwaukee is a powerful team, but they also like to run. Brewers been near the top for home runs and stolen bases all season long. In terms of home runs, this series, great example of it. 4 homers on Friday night. And of course, Braun, one of 2 homers in last night's ball game. So 6 total. Eric Thames has been on a home run binge of late. He homered on Friday night. Runner goes, good jump, ground ball. Dietrich has to look at second and go to first and get the out. That's a good example of Craig Counsell being aggressive, starting runners. It doesn't matter how fast you are, how big you are. He'll start you.
Well, it's been the approach. All hands on deck, all series long, all second half long as this Brewers team tries to stay in the pennant race, and he's not afraid to put guys in motion. He sees that as an advantage. Why not? Take some risks. This team will strike out occasionally, but when you have some speed to use, you use it. Santana, 13 stolen bases on the season.
Travis Shaw having a breakout season. The former Red Sox everyday player here, and his power numbers have just jumped. Popped his 30th home run of the season. In last night's ball game, he's got 31 doubles. He's played very well defensively at third base. On top of that,
I think if you were to pick out one hitter, say this is your guy right here, Travis Shaw, most consistent for the Brewers all season long, in there every day, consistent power threat, RBI guy as well. And I think this is a story that for Travis has developed. I'm not sure they were expecting 30 and 92 from him when he arrived from Boston. People knew he was good. Not sure they knew he was this good.
and that begins to tell the story of why the Brewers are at 78 and 70 and hanging in the wild card and in the Central, though their loss last night put a dent in those plans. Is guys like Shaw. Craig Counsell's been able to squeeze the very most out of his entire roster. His lineup looks completely different from a lefty starter to a righty starter. Guys like Santana and Thames, Sogard, Shaw have somewhat overachieved. Swing and a miss. Although I'm sure all of those players are hoping that as their career goes along that they're closer to the production this year than they have been in the past. Two balls, two strikes. And a great curveball there. Peters strikes out Travis Shaw. Bottom of the first coming up in Milwaukee. Scoreless game. Calling all sausages. Please report to your sausage station. Can't have a ball game here without the racing sausages.
Wow.
What a great time out in the parking lot.
How do they drive?
It's why they're legendary. Southwest brings you Miami's lineup. D. Gordon, JT Realmuto, Christian Yelich, Marcelo Zuna, Justin Bohr, Derek Dietrich. Listen to that sound effect. Ichiro, Miguel Rojas, and Dylan Peters in the 9 spot. Giancarlo Stanton getting the afternoon off to begin with.
All right, here you go. AutoNation scouting report of Brandon Woodruff. 6'4", 215 pounds, 24 years old. He's making his 6th big league start first versus the Fish. Home cook, that's a question mark. 0-2 with a 458. He's only made 3 starts here, and he's allowed 3 home runs. He's been much better on the road. His best start versus the Nationals a couple of starts ago. 7 innings, 8 Ks. Now, get ahead, stay ahead. Pretty simple stuff here. 0.65 batting average when Woodruff gets ahead of you. Means he's got a pretty good slider and a heavy fastball. 355 when he doesn't. What does that tell you? He's a young guy. He's going to make some mistakes out over the plate. The question is this: can he bounce back? His worst start as a pro, or I should say as a big leaguer, was his last start. He got hit hard. 5 innings, 7 hits, 6 earned runs. Gave up a couple home runs right here at Miller Park.
D. Gordon knocks that one down the left field line. Off to the races he goes. Around first base. Holds there. Braun had him played in that spot, and D has to settle for a loud single.
Good start for this afternoon's ball game. D. Gordon finding that left field line once again. We watch him do this a lot. Stay inside the baseball and drive it the other way. Sometimes there is no defense for that. Travis Shaw in on the grass. He's got 1 step in each direction. That ball easily down the line. Braun playing him over.
So with no Giancarlo, you've got Realmuto up in the 2 spot with Yelich and Ozuna and Bohr right behind him. That's a pretty good move, and that was close at first base. Gordon just back in. There's Giancarlo. Not a whole lot of sample size for Woodruff. This is start number 6 in the big leagues. Realmuto going after a fastball, fouls it back. Base stealers are 3 of 4 against him, and he does have a pickoff in his 5 starts.
We're going to see a lot of that fastball. For the most part, he's been a 2-pitch pitcher. I mean, his changeup certainly has factored in, but it's an average pitch for him. His above-average slider is his go-to secondary pitch, and the fastball is really the key to this ball game, and certainly to Woodruff.
Now you've got a really good catch and throw guy behind the plate in Manny Pena, who's throwing out over 30% of base stealers this year.
Well, what you're hoping for even early in this at bat to JT Realmuto is that D. Gordon's distraction over at first base maybe gets a cookie for JT Realmuto out over the plate.
Long wait, and he throws a strike.
Sneaks a slider in there. That was the first look at it.
Count 0-2. Gordon does not have a big lead right now. And JT goes after that slider. And that's the dominant pitch.
That's the dominant secondary pitch. He added a little bit to it, a little bit farther off the corner, a little bit more velocity as well for JT.
All right, back to the parking lot, back to the party, and let's get some Brewers defense in here.
That's right. It's where it starts. Braun, Broxton, Santana. The Brewers outfield for today's game. Shaw, Arcia, Perez, Aguilar, Pena behind the plate for Woodruff on the mound.
I'm actually a little melancholy that we're not out there, A, and B, that I didn't grab a couple brats for the game.
It is that time of year, too, you know?
Without question.
Football going on and, you know, everything else. And you can kind of get that sense, you know, up here in the Midwest. The fall kind of hint, you know, you hint at fall. Like if you look out and you'll see the trees out through the windows, you'll see some yellow already starting to kind of kick in around here. It's kind of a pretty special time of year in the Midwest when fall starts to hit. football season starts to go.
Gordon was leaning. Throw over to first. They have an event in the dead of winter, sort of the Fan Fest event where they start selling tickets, and they tailgate for that too.
Oh yeah.
And it can be ice on the ground and snow and below freezing, but the tailgaters are out for that as well.
Smell of charcoal is everywhere in the city of Milwaukee.
This could be the charcoal state.
That's right. All right, well, what we know about Woodruff through 5 starts is that at times he'll struggle with the lefties, the left-handed hitters. As you saw D. Gordon that first hit, lefties hitting .341 against him coming into today's ball game. Now, he has given up 3 home runs. The righties have hit the homers, but they're only hitting .143. Small sample size.
Yelich takes out. Yelich yesterday had an RBI single in that first inning barrage. Miami got 4 runs on 6 hits against Zach Davies. Numbers wise, right now, is somewhat of the ace. And Craig Counsell's rotation. Brewers rotation is taking some hits. Jimmy Nelson's shoulder injury, a big one. Gordon runs. Yelich swings and misses. Pena's throw, and he is out. And that's what I mean about a really good catch and throw catcher.
We talked about this yesterday with Pena behind the plate. Gets a good pitch to run on. You see him slide. He kind of jumped out just before. A little tailing action on that strong throw. He gets to D. Gordon before D. Gordon gets to the bag. Now you get that sense in here today that this is a, dare I say, a must-win for the Brewers. You kind of get the feel, you know, even when we were out in the parking lot, that playoff game atmosphere is really starting to kick in, and they know that they don't have a whole lot of wiggle room left. They're chasing in the wild card conversation. They're chasing in the division. They can't be giving games back.
And the crowd has reflected that in their enthusiasm. And this place would have been sold out Friday, would have been sold out last night, would have been sold out today, but because of the late notice, they've had to cap the ticket sales at right around 24,000, and that includes mostly just lower bowl and the second deck.
Get this is from yesterday. This is the walk-up attendance for yesterday's game. 25,079. So over 25,000 people just walked up to buy a ticket yesterday.
Yelich fights off the fastball, and they count 2 balls and 2 strikes.
I think in a lot of ways we were hoping that the Marlins would continue their pursuit, that good push that they had after the San Diego series, 3 games over, and that's what September would be. You're getting a reflection of it here. The Brewers, they're not leading the playoff conversation. They are part of the chase, but you get the feel in your fan base that this is a playoff game. You can't lose it.
Struck him out, fastball. Caught the corner, says Kerwin Danley. Yelich still there, and that just in. Scoreless. Miami-type decorations in the ballpark for this weekend here. Scoreless ball game. Dylan Peters back on the mound. Jesus Aguilar, Manny Pena, Keon Broxton. Brewers have been hot. And Craig Counsell has done a wonderful job of maximizing the enlarged or engorged or expanded, use whatever you want, roster. Postseason, you can add up to I guess 15 guys. If they're on the 40-man, you can bring them up.
I'd be willing to bet that if Craig Counsell could bring up infinity, he would. It's all hands on deck. He's trying to get this thing done in a creative way. And you know, you're looking at his lineups, even looking at how he's used the bullpen, thinking about the bullpen game a couple days ago, even yesterday, made an early decision to get Davies out of there and go right back to that bullpen.
That's a strike. Aguilar has to come back to the box.
Aguilar 0 for 4 yesterday in the ball game.
Elevated fastball and a pop-up into the seats. And it's not just pinch run here, pinch hit there. That's not how Craig Counsell's doing it. His right-handed lineup, his left-handed lineup, very different. And that has been working for him. Breaking ball, bouncer, Rojas dives. And Gordon picks it up. Rojas, that left shoulder has been an issue throughout the year. As he dives here, looks like he's irritated it again.
And a slow roller up the middle. This is defensive positioning that made this play a lot more difficult. Finds the open hole right there, Aguilar does. You see Rojas extend. It looks like he's holding his left wrist.
Now looks like
you're right. It's the shoulder. He's got his fingers up there. I was watching him when he came out of there. He's holding his wrist as well.
We've seen this over the last 2-3 weeks where he will dive. But he's been able to stay in ball games once the pain kind of dissipates. I don't know if he's going to stay in here. This one looks like a little more serious than the others. Dustin Luker, one of the Marlin trainers. And it'll probably mean Mike Avila's going to come in the ball game.
Well, let's take another look at it. You see the full extension dive. He's trying to keep it on the infield. He does have a play if he could bounce up, but it's that bounce that gets him. You can see where his left shoulder really kind of starts to work its way down towards the ground, almost like it's pushing out. He's been kind of holding that joint there, that shoulder joint. Sitting right back to the clubhouse.
Mike Aviles gets some warm-up tosses. A few ground balls.
Marlins did take an optional batting practice today, so a lot of the guys have had warm-ups today. It's not that you always see that on Sunday. Not everybody does it. In fact, most teams today's game, take a Sunday down day. They'll just show and go, get loose in the clubhouse and in the batting cages, but not today for the Marlins. They had an optional batting practice. In fact, most people participated.
Don Mattingly, the Marlins, and all the families that are here on this trip, very anxious to get home. Long road trip. Obviously, a lot's gone on down in South Florida since the Marlins left for Atlanta. Remember, they had 4 in Atlanta, 3 in Philly, and now 3 here in Milwaukee. Manny Pena, the catcher for the Brewers, is up. Pena fouls it back, counts 0-1. Lots of signs of support for South Florida around the ballpark. The Brewers organization has donated money. They have taken the 50-50 pot. There's some really cool signs. Mickey can come too.
We have cheese.
They have lots of cheese.
I'll tell you what, listen, and not to get lost in this, I know we're in Milwaukee, but speaking to Atlanta again, Philadelphia, and Milwaukee, the fans, the hotels that we've done, I mean, everybody has been so gracious to our families, been so welcoming and so kind to us this entire time.
All three hotels as well,
right,
in Atlanta and in Philadelphia, and here in Milwaukee, the hotels have gone over the top to make not only the ball club, but especially the families, the young children that have been traveling.
Right.
I know you've got your whole family here, all 4 kids.
Get a little you know, amped up. I mean, they've been in a hotel for 10 straight days, and everybody thinks, oh, well, I mean, my kids originally thought it was the greatest thing in the world, but I think after 4 days, they got a little tired of it.
Swing and a miss. Good fastball. And Peters with a strikeout there.
Nice job climbing the top of the zone. He's done that now twice. He got Shaw up there as well.
Keon Broxton now coming up. When you have that hook, as Peters does, you can elevate a good 4-seam fastball.
Well, you're getting the sense, even the first time through the lineup, that a lot of these Brewers hitters are almost sitting on it. In fact, both base hits for the Brewers have been on the breaking ball. That's what's a bit surprising to me. Most people think, all right, he's got a good breaking ball. Am I going to go up there looking for it? Well, I think that's been the tell so far. He's picked up 2 strikeouts on the fastball at the top of the zone.
Broxton, the Lakeland native, formerly in the Pirates organization, was drafted by Arizona.
A couple of walks in yesterday's game.
Lifted in the air to right center. Ichiro patrolling out there. And he makes the catch. Peters has got 2 outs, with Aguilar still at first base.
And join us as the Marlins return home to face the Mets September 18th through the 20th. That's the next homestand. You take a break with your family and friends to see your Fish take on the Mets. The home series of the season. There's only 2 left to see at the ballpark. The Braves at the end and the Mets coming up tomorrow.
Arcia takes up. Arcia, the guy we were focusing on because of his front leg kick, and he has a not quite Rhys Hoskins, but similar, and it's a swinging gait. It kind of starts, rolls around, and then ends up back in the box. That one's up the middle into center field, and a base hit. Yelich's throw overshoots the runway. Justin Bohr runs it down.
Well, we'll show it to you one more time. Imperative to get the front foot down. Swing can't start. You see that pitch kind of rolls out of Peters' hands. So Arcia stays on it and threw it. Not ready to say they've found a hole in the middle of the defense right now. A couple of slow rollers have made their way through the middle of the field.
How long does it take to get comfortable with something like that in terms of balance?
I think that's an answer for anybody who does it. It could be as simple as a day, a week. It could take you a really long time unless you're committed to it. I messed around. We all messed around with our swings and timing mechanisms, different things throughout our career. Sometimes it took a little bit more, and like for example, like I tried to do the swinging gait. I mean, I certainly saw enough people try it. My problem with it was I couldn't hit gently enough. I'd always hit really hard on that front side because it's kind of my personality. I'm kind of like a high energy guy, and when I would hit, I'd hit really hard, and I mean, it would just throw my head start bouncing around. I couldn't see the baseball, and so for me, it wouldn't work. I didn't have the grace to go, oh, look at my swinging gait just laying so gently on the ground.
You saw Darnell Coles, the hitting coach for the Brewers. And Peters facing Brandon Woodruff here. He's fallen behind 2-0. Woodruff, Mississippi State product. And he takes fastball for a strike. It's 2-1.
Woodruff's an interesting story. Live arm. Some good results. Obviously, he's Brewers' #5 prospect. He's gotten himself to the big leagues, but he was wild as they came when he was at Mississippi State. In fact, he'd lost his starting job in their rotation.
Tupelo is where he was born. Wheeler, Mississippi is where he calls home. Elvis there, Tupelo. Spent a few nights in Tupelo in ice storm.
Wow.
Yes.
Ice storm in Tupelo?
Ice storm in Tupelo. Headed down to do basketball at Mississippi State.
That sounds like a bad combination in the South.
That's not a bad place to hang out.
Well, not Tupelo. I just meant the ice storm.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, without question.
You got to be careful here with Woodruff. It looks like he can swing the bat.
Fouls that one back to the screen. Woodruff had just an awful year last year. His older brother, who was a hero to him and really pushed him and helped him get into baseball, was killed in an ATV accident. And so this is kind of a bittersweet year to get to the big leagues here. Another 3-2 on the ground. Gordon has it, and D flips to first in time to get the outs. In Milwaukee, going to the bottom of the second. It's scoreless. That's right. Look at Master Grill Man, Todd Hollinsworth, and look at Miss Snacks back there. Nobody wanted to pose for pictures with us. They just wanted to feed us.
Well, they wanted us to grill their brats is what they wanted.
Let's do some T-Mobiling here in Milwaukee, shall we? T-Mobile Unlimited Baseball, Francisco Lindor and the Indians, second straight American League Central crown. Rick Porcello is rolling in his last 9 starts, 6-3. Zach Greinke putting together what some feel is a Cy Young resume. Beat the Giants 8 innings, 2 hits. Marlins could run into him late next week.
It certainly sounds like it's a collision course.
All right, I'm going beard is real and the hair is not.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. You can see the back right there. It's not a.
Yeah.
That's his normal hair.
You think that washes out of the beard, or does he show up for work tomorrow?
He's probably a lawyer, so I'm hoping it washes out, right?
This is one of the really fun places for baseball, for all sports, as you notice. A great sports town, state.
Right.
Packers, Badgers, Bucks.
They love their sports and they support their sport teams.
Marcelo Zuna, Justin Bohr, Derek Dietrich. And downtown, the Bradley Center is on the left, and the new Bucks Arena is coming online next year.
There you go. Look how cool that is.
Drove by that a couple times, and it really looks sweet. Got a soccer arena down the street as well. The north end is exploding. We like the 3rd ward and that south end too.
It's a happening spot.
1-1 to Ozuna. Off-speed pitch in the air, and it's a reach and a catch. Jesus Aguilar coming into your lap there in the first row.
Well, Brewers fans knew what to do, which was get out of the way and give him a chance to make the catch, and that's what Aguilar does. He gets all the way over to the railing and reaches over and makes a great catch. Watch the fans. They didn't reach out. They didn't say, "Hey, that's mine." They said, "Oh, that's for us. We got to get that out."
That is the Bonefish catch of the game. Great fish, great cocktails, great times. Head to Bonefish Grill. Ozuna retired. Here's Bohr. These are Bohr's people, aren't they? I mean, this environment.
I would think so.
He is a fun-loving guy.
Yeah.
And he has swung the bat quite well here in Milwaukee. He was 2 for 3 yesterday with a very important sacrifice fly as well. And he smokes one into right center field. Impressed with how he has swung the bat since coming off the disabled list, especially with the type of injury, the oblique injury.
What I love is the progression, and I think that's what I've really enjoyed the most. This is turning around velocity, and this is velocity off the bat. It's a combination of all things. You go back to the Phillies series, he had some hits in the series, and he hit a couple balls hard, but not just in Bohr hard. And what we've seen here in Milwaukee, it's like, oh, now he's back on the 95 to 97, and the ball's starting to fly off that barrel again. So that progression has been good, hitting .304 coming into today's game.
Derek Dietrich, a nice night last night. 2 for 4, 2-run homer. Sends that one out into shallow right center. Arcia and Perez, and it's Arcia who makes the catch. Finally back in Miami tomorrow night, and the Mets are in. It's a Matt Harvey, Dan Straley matchup. That should be fun. 6:30 start for Marlins Live. The Marlins will be home for approximately 2.5 days, and that's it before they head out west to see the Diamondbacks and the Rockies.
Well, it's not easy, and that's what coming to Milwaukee did. It changed the homestand, and it, in a lot of ways, elongated the now soon-to-be road trip that's coming up. You're right. Hopefully, you don't get in too late tonight, and then you're only home for a couple days.
Well, Ichiro, his last start was Thursday in Philadelphia, and he had a couple of hits. He takes a strike, 96-mile-an-hour fastball. Giancarlo Stanton a day off, though you expect to see him as a pinch hitter a little bit later in the game. Just 20 games at Miller Park for Ichiro. Of course, Ichiro, a career American leaguer before arriving here 3 years ago. A little busted bat floater, and it's caught by Shaw. And the Marlins strand a runner. On to the third in Milwaukee. to fundraising to just welcoming us. Everyone here in Milwaukee has been terrific. Scoreless game here. Jessica Blaylock has made a friend. Jess?
I have made a new friend. He's a Marlins fan too. His name is Ben Wells. And check out these sweet kicks that he gave me. This is a pair of Nikes with a custom Marlins design. Now, Ben, how did you get into designing shoes?
I had a pair of actually Cubs shoes because I'm a Cubs fan first, but Marlins fan second, and made myself a pair of Cubs shoes after I was bought a pair of my own. I was like, I think I could make my own design. So then I came up with that and figured that you would enjoy a pair of Marlins.
I cannot wait to try these on. Now, you mentioned that you're a Cubs fan. You told me you're from Chicago. How did you end up a Marlins fan then?
Ichiro. So with that signing, that brought me along as a fan as well. So then last summer, I actually followed the Marlins for 16 games and 17 days to be able to see 3,000 in Denver.
So I have shown these shoes off to a lot of people, and they have asked, how can I get a pair like that? Give them some information.
Well, you can probably find me on Twitter. It's Baseball Ben. It's BASEBL Ben. You can try to find me there, and I'll see if I can fill in some orders and get some made if people are interested.
I'm about to throw these on right now because I currently have on a pair of heels. These will be a lot more comfortable to walk back down to the dugout in than my pair of heels. Guys.
Jess, you were a star of our Open, by the way. A lot of people have responded to your snacking abilities as you wandered in and out of our Open shot with chips, cookies, and maybe a brats. I wasn't sure if
that was a lot of fun. I packed some snacks for the road, so I'm all set. I've got brats, I've got cookies, I've got Oreos, I've got chips, I've got drinks. Anything that you're going to find out at Tailgate, I made sure to pack it up with me and take a to-go bag. So I'm all set. You guys need anything?
Yeah, I'm actually a little hungry. So if you happen upon anything in the ballpark, bring it on up.
You got it.
All right. Domingo Santana is up. Yeah, the racing sausages. Actually, the little weenies are racing in this ball game as well. The sausage relays with the junior sausages. Probably a better way to say that. They even have their own T-shirts. And I'll tell you what, bobblehead days and bobblehead nights are big. When it's a racing sausage bobblehead, it is a huge thing here because you want to get the whole set. You want to get the Italian to the event. You want to get chorizo. You want to get hot dog. You want to get Polish. Santana takes out, and he walks. Dylan Peters, his first walk of the ball game. Jeep Compass game break is coming up a little later on in the 7th inning. Craig Minervini and Jeff Conine live in studio. They'll bring you up to speed on what's going on in baseball today, have highlights of any breaking news or big events. Wish they were here today to enjoy the donuts we had from Holy Moly Donuts. Good. In Milwaukee. Ryan Braun bounced to third back in the first. Now Peters has had traffic in every inning. He had 2 runners on in the second. Santana was at first base in the same spot back in the first.
And the difference between the Phillies start and today's start is that you've got the sense that he's got a good grasp of his arsenal. He's trying to make pitches right now. Be careful. He understands what this ballpark can do. All behind Braun, 2-0. Again, for the most part, he's just been very careful. This Brewers lineup. It's a power up and down it.
Left shoulder strain for Miguel Rojas. He's listed as day-to-day. Left shoulder strain. If you're just joining us, Miguel Rojas diving for a ball over the middle. Re-aggravated that shoulder. Mike Aviles is in there now. Braun takes a strike and it's 2-1. Ryan Braun Many in Miami remember him as a Hurricane, and a great one at that. Grew up in California, Granada Hills. Bouncer short, Aviles tested, little flip, Gordon's turn in time, and Miami gets that double play, and Dylan Peters is cruising through 3 in a scoreless game.
Copyrighted telecast is presented by the authority of the Miami Marlins. It may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and the descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Miami Marlins.
In Milwaukee/Miami, Mike Aviles will lead it off. Aviles getting his first at bat. Miguel Rojas, a strained shoulder. Saw JT Riddle in that video there during our disclaimer. Riddle also with a shoulder injury. Riddle had surgery. Rojas's injury right now is listed as a strain. Peters second, Gordon third in this inning against Brandon Woodruff.
Aviles didn't play in yesterday's ballgame. 1 for 10 on the road trip. Had a couple of nice stretches with the Marlins. The bat has come to life.
Two balls and a strike. Woodruff getting to the big leagues this year. He was the 11th round pick in 2014, and Aviles knocks it foul. Count 2-2. Although he made his major league debut a little bit later than he had wanted. He was set to make his debut on June 13th. And in pregame stretch, he strained a hamstring.
They had to put him on the disabled list.
Yes. Made his debut finally on August 4th.
Interestingly enough, I had a similar path. 95, right? So 1995, I made the team, made the Dodgers team, came out. I didn't start the first few games. I pinch hit, but I was going to get my first big league start. Went out to batting practice that day, all ready to go. Dodgers uni on. I was up about 5 a.m. that day, getting ready to go. Night game in San Francisco, Candlestick Park.
Very nice.
Got out there. It was still pretty chilly. It was early April. And I bet it couldn't have been, 55, 60 degrees at the most. Wind was already howling. And I hit a ball off the end of the bat, and I broke my hand. I never got to the game. Had to wait 2 months. How about that, right?
3-2. And that pop-up ends up in the glove of Hernan Perez. So what's going on when the Fish get back to Marlins Park? Well, that last series is against the Mets. And the 8th annual Star Wars night is on September 30th. With your purchase of a special event ticket, you'll get an exclusive Adam Conley Stormtrooper bobblehead. A portion of the proceeds will support Stand Up to Cancer. Get your tickets at marlins.com/special events.
It's a big day.
It is a big day. It's a really big day for our production crew, because our producer John Sulser is replaced by Darth Vader. We have a producer who has been critically acclaimed by a lot of people, who is essentially a 12-year-old when it comes to Star Wars, collecting things. He's comic books, Marvel superheroes. It's not unusual to see him dressed as one of his superheroes on a just like a random Wednesday night.
Follow along. I mean, we see him in his Darth Vader outfit right there. I mean, he's got to feel like he's on the Death Star, you know, when he's behind the scenes and all those buttons.
I think it was Elvis's birthday one year. He showed up full Elvis. Cape, big collar. He was the fat Elvis. But it was effective. He pulled it off. Count 2-2 to Peters. So we'll have all kinds of Star Wars technical stuff on the show, thanks to John Sulser. Outside corner, and Peters is down looking. Brandon Woodruff looks good.
First time through, he's really dialed it in. We told you about the fastball. It's been leading the way so far today. We haven't seen him have to make too many adjustments. He's attacking the strike zone with the fastball. You see him dot the corner right there, low and away on Peters, 95, 96 miles an hour. Look at the first time through, and you'd say to yourself, all right, D. Gordon and JB, Justin Bohr, 2 hardest hit balls and a couple of singles. That's it.
D. Gordon had one of those singles. He's up here with 2 outs. Rolls that one up the middle. That's a base hit. Now it's round 2. D. Gordon versus Brandon Woodruff and Manny Pena. Pena threw him out on a great throw when he was trying to steal back in the first. And obviously with 2 outs here, there's a great chance he's running.
I would agree. D. Gordon picks up his 2nd base hit of the ball game. Back through the middle. Again, let's see if there's an advantage for JT Realmuto. His first at bat was his first at bat against Woodruff. Almost got by Aguiar.
Couple hits in the series, both of them doubles for JT. Hope you had a chance to see Marlins live and see our A.J. Ellis feature. Great shot of A.J. working the snowblower. He lives here in the off-season, which it may sound odd. He's a Kentucky guy and played in Los Angeles for a long time. But Milwaukee's been home. His wife is from here. And he has embraced the lifestyle in the winter. I know this is a familiar shot for you, living in North Chicago for a long time.
Yeah. Most guys have a snowblower. They own one. A lot of guys own their own lawnmower, and they'll get out and do a lot of the things that need upkeeping, uptaking. there you go. Done that many times myself. In fact, just did it last December. The boys up to Lambeau Field and watched the Green Bay Packers take on the Seahawks.
Have you got Packers gear?
We do have some Packers gear in the house, but we're transitioning to Dolphins. We're in the process. In other words, they're growing out of it. my guys are getting big, you know. They get to turn their stuff in about every 3 or 4 months.
Well, I'm sure you found out that Dolphins gear is not nearly as insulated as
yes.
Packers gear.
Right. T-shirts, shorts. Is that what you're getting at? Yes.
Right.
Mm-hmm. There is a common theme in South Florida that I do like an awful lot. It's funny. I have a collection of sweaters I don't know what to do with.
Just throw them in a box.
Well, that's where they are right now. Never to be worn again.
Send them over to my place. I'll put them in the box with all of mine.
Right.
I haven't seen the light of day in 13 years. Of course, this is also home to Marquette University. Outstanding basketball tradition. Bucks have been a postseason team, I believe, the last couple of seasons. 2-1. Slider, and JT pops that up. A lot of balls in the air against Brandon Woodruff. And Miami has stranded another runner. 3 completes, still scoreless. That here as well, scoreless, top 4. Rich Waltz along with Todd Hollandsworth. You know, this
is great chairs up here.
All right, for the fans at home, hit the button and let's see it go down. See how fast it goes down.
I'd like to see this too.
Oh no, it's just
very nice. Hey.
I heard you guys were hungry,
Yes.
and I have to admit that when the tailgating crew wasn't looking, I swiped about 4 brats off the grill. So 1 for you. 1 for you.
Thank you, Jess.
Anytime.
Travis Shaw with a base hit to left field. Have you enjoyed your 3 days here in Milwaukee?
I really have. I think this is a very underrated city. So I don't mind making a second trip here. I've had a lot of good meals. There's a really cool art museum right down the road from our hotel. I love haunted dwellings. So I had a few ghost hunting experiences.
Did you find any?
Unfortunately, no. I think Todd's crew scared them all off, right, Todd?
Off the 21st floor, that's for sure.
Maybe I should have checked a different floor. That's the problem.
Yeah, there was nothing there.
Jesus Aguilar takes a breaking ball for a strike. Well, Jess, thank you for lunch, and have a good rest of the day. We'll see you on the plane. Marlins finally get to come home. A Shaw base hit. and has opened the Brewers' fourth. It still is odd, remembering that while we're in Milwaukee and the Brewers are wearing white, that they're hitting in the top of the inning.
Right.
This is sort of, it's not quite weekend at Bernie's, but Bernie is into the South Florida look.
You see he's got his shorts on, right?
That's as tropical as Bernie gets. I think if Bernie were to come to South Florida and hang out, he would need massive amounts of sunscreen. Just look at his arms.
He's quite pale. You don't need as much SPF up here in the Midwest.
Aguilar single back in the second. Peters in his fourth major league start. Line to left and off the wall. Shaw to third, and Aguilar is going to cruise in with a double. And the Brewers have their best opportunity yet.
A couple of hits start this fourth inning. Shaw a base hit now. Aguilar a double. This is a pretty good example. You see this hanging breaking ball at the top of the zone. Keep it fair down into the corner. And Craig Counsell tames it. Homered in 3 consecutive ball games. Of course, he's the lefty. Now he doesn't get the start today. Aguilar gets the start at first base 2 days in a row, and I think it's a pretty good example of how this team has really worked this year. He's got a couple of base hits in today's game, even after going 0 for yesterday. And Craig Counsell really trusts this process, trusts his guys and the number of guys he's using right now to go out and get wins.
Infield back, opportunity for the Brewers. Pena, with nobody out, struck out back in the second. Peters established that breaking ball early, was able to throw it for strikes. He's 0-2 here. See, Pena's pretty good at getting runners in from third, less than 2 outs. Breaking ball in the dirt. It's not often in the major leagues you get a game like this where the 2 starting pitchers are absolute mysteries to both lineups.
Well, if you do get it, a lot of times you'll get it in September as the rosters have expanded, and you'll see a few prospects get some starts along the way. Woodruff is really big for the Brewers. You see what he can bring to the table.
Into center, and it falls in front of Yelich. It'll chase home a run as Travis Shaw will score. Aguilar stops at third. It's a 1-0 start for the Brewers.
Once again, when Peters has some issues, it's typically at the top of the zone, and we've seen that this inning. And he was pitching up there with some purpose early on, but these balls are at the belt. They're getting knocked around pretty good. So he's going to have to find a way to get down in the zone and get those ground balls coming once again and hopefully get himself out of this. And we've raved so far through 3 starts Peters' ability to navigate trouble. He did it in his last start against the Phillies very well. Going to do it here in the 4th inning.
And here's Broxton. And like many of the Brewers hitters, high home run, strikeouts, and a low batting average. A little roller up the line. Real Muto. A good decision for 2 reasons. He was not going to get the runner at first. There was nobody at first base. Bohr came charging in. And Gordon was not at first.
Let's see if it hits him. Yeah, he got out of the way. Did he get out of the way? Watch it hit that cut of grass right there. As soon as it hit that little lip, that's what steered it to the right. You're absolutely right about that. I thought there was a chance he may have hit that ball, and if in fact it did, he's out. It was a dead ball, but it clearly did, and JT would have said something, I'm sure.
Not a reviewable play by instant replay, which it should be, really. I mean, a call like that for an umpire, you're looking at, on instant replay, you're looking at super slow-mo rotation of ball. You can't look at that and determine in live action. It has to really be a significant change of flight.
Stop for everything else, don't we? Pretty much.
We stopped for Bratz early in the inning. Aguilar at third base, Pena's at first, Broxton an 0-2.
Marlins got an out at home plate in Philadelphia by a fingernail.
That was well, the painful thing was the Marlins got walked off on twice that night, but that erased the first walk-off.
Right.
The tag on Hernandez by JT. 1-2, didn't bite on the breaking ball. Nobody out. Got him with a fastball. That's a big strikeout. Now a ground ball gets him out of the inning.
Well, enough times we've seen Peters do this. He'll introduce that breaking ball early in the count. You'll see it a few times, and then he'll ramp up a fastball 90-91, and it'll look like 95. He just blows it by Broxton on the outside part of the plate. Well, watch that right there. He's late.
South Florida Honda dealers, get us ready. Tomorrow night, there'll be snacks served appropriately at 6:30 for Marlins Live. Craig Minervini. And we replace the Jeffs from Conine to Nelson. Nelly will be by. Back home at last. Look at the pitching matchup with the Mets in town. Matt Harvey, Dan Straley. High fastball is fouled off. Arcia singled back in the second. The focus here in Milwaukee, obviously at the Brewers, but also on the Cubs, the Cardinals, and the Rockies. And the Central and the wild card. Another strike. And it's 0-2. The Cubs have handled the Cardinals so far in that weekend series, winning the first two games. And Chicago has a 1-0 lead, bottom three down at Wrigley.
Let's see if Peters can bounce a breaking ball right here and maybe pick up a strikeout. Nice job getting back into this.
Realmuto smothers it. Colorado is at home against the Padres. And of course, Brewer fans are fired up with the win on Friday. The problem was the Cubs won. And the Rockies have been on a nice run of late. So the Brewers 4 back in the Central. And in that wild card chase, 3.5 back. It's a good battle here. Now we saw Arcia, we've talked about his stride, that swinging gait. We saw him eliminate it with 2 strikes against Adam Conley yesterday.
Yeah. I think he does that when he feels his timing is off on that gait. And that's somebody who clearly is okay with, you know, trying different things through the course of an at bat.
Popped him up. Should be playable. Realmuto jogs over. Whoa! That one got away from him. He was approaching the on-deck circle as well.
He got the mask away, but then ends up having to reach for it. Didn't really get to the spot. You see it's kind of drifting on him, and it just gets a little bit too far away and has to really reach for it across the on-deck circle.
And a visit to Peters right now. with the count 1-2. Milwaukee has the first run of the ball game. Travis Shaw opened with a single. Jesus Aguilar doubled down the left field line. Manny Pena blooped one into center. Peters struck out Keon Broxton, but Arcia just won't go away in this at bat. Now he will swing and a miss, and he fires the bat down and busts the bat. Another strikeout for Peters, and that buys him the pitcher coming up.
Called for it a couple pitches ago. If you noticed, he went to a toe tap the pitch before. That's the one he popped up, but then he goes back to the swinging gate, almost like he's guessing pitches up there. That breaking ball down in the zone, we called for it. Good to see. Peters buries it and gets that huge out. Runners on first and third, nobody out. 1 out away from limiting this damage to 1. Now, see JT pop out from behind home plate. It's a reminder of what the Brewers will do. We saw it in game 1. They will attempt a double steal, especially right here with the pitcher hitting. They'll try anything to get that extra run.
Some of that has to do with the style of Craig Counsell, and some of that has to do with the fact the Marlins were burned on that early this year on a double steal. And that shows up on an advanced scouting report.
Well, technically, things worked out for the Marlins in game 1 of the series. I'm not sure they ran it textbook either.
Woodruff can swing the bat. He had a long at bat in the second and fouls that one back. '25-year-old Dylan Peters, Indianapolis native. Count 2-1.
Woodruff grounded out his first time up. As you can tell, he looks like he's a pretty good athlete and handles himself well in the box. You just got to be careful. That's why you're seeing him pitch with caution. Woodruff hasn't been around long enough to really put up any type of big offensive numbers for the pitcher. He definitely has a pretty good approach.
He lost him. And so Peters has done a nice job to limit the damage in getting the strikeouts of Broxton and Arcia. Walks Woodruff. Hernan Perez up next. In the American League, the White Sox are getting a great performance from lefty Matthew Boyd. Or excuse me, the Tigers are getting a great performance from Matthew Boyd, and the White Sox are feeling the wrath of that performance. 7 no-hit innings for the Tigers lefty. And it's a 9-0 Tigers lead over the White Sox. So he's 7 innings in with a no-hitter. 5 strikeouts and a walk.
Chicago Cubs are up 1-0 on the St. Louis Cardinals in the 4th.
Of course, the Marlins, Edinson Volquez, the only no-hitter of the season. One of the highlights of this year. Perez, fastball and a strike. He is a versatile player. He has starts in a lot of spots. 6 positions over 93 starts. That's a fair ball. Dietrich has it on his feet, fires across, safe. And the Brewers have their second run. Marlins will look at the video.
Well, I'll tell you what, Dietrich makes an outstanding play. All right, knocks it down, back up, no play at third. Only play he has is across the diamond. I'll tell you what, man, oh man, that was a strong throw.
It's going to go as an infield hit and an RBI for Perez. And Domingo Santana, who has singled and walked now with the bags loaded. This inning is teetering on a big inning with one swing of the bat. Remember, 3 hits started the inning, 2 strikeouts by Peters. Drilled in the gap, and it'll go to the wall. 1 run in. Woodruff scores. Perez comes across. And it is a big inning.
Well, Santana clears the bases. 3-run double. He doesn't wait around either. First fastball he sees, center cut, thigh high. He drills it into left center field. All Marcell Ozuna can do is chase it down at the wall. As soon as this ball's hit, everybody off to the races. Even Woodruff all the way around to score from first.
And Santana is in there because of his success against lefties. He's had the best at bats of the day against Peters. Miami is going to walk Ryan Braun intentionally and pitch to Shaw. Shaw started the inning with a base hit. 5 runs in the inning on 5 hits. Maybe the biggest at bat was the walk to Brandon Woodruff.
Yeah. Well, we talked about that athleticism that certainly he presented, but pitcher on pitcher, you got to believe that's an out you should get. Peters struggled with his command in that at bat, fell behind 3-1, eventually walked him. Set up Perez and obviously Santana.
Odrisamer Despaigne in Miami's bullpen. Breaking ball popped up. Gordon with Ichiro in, and Ichiro can't get it. It's off his glove. Santana scores. Braun stops at third base. And the inning gets bigger for the Brewers.
Well, it falls in. Sometimes we refer to this as the triangle. As a former outfielder, I know all about this. Got the infielders coming out and the outfielders coming in. See Aviles, he seems to be the one most set up for it, but Ichiro calls for it. Clearly see him calling for it. Definitely hits off his glove. Able to make the catch. Gonna go as a base hit.
And that's going to be the end of Dylan Peters. Shaw gets a bloop single and an RBI. And Milwaukee with a 6-run fourth. Florida Lottery called to the bullpen. course. Florida Lottery called to the bullpen. Enter your Lotto Fantasy 5 or all-new Fast Play ticket in the Florida Lottery Game Day Cash Promotion. You can win a 2018 Lazy Days RV motorhome, over $200,000 in cash prizes, bowl tickets, season tickets, and more. Must be 18 or older to play. Play responsibly. Dylan Peters, 3 2/3, 6 runs. And this inning got away from him. Eleventh man to come to the plate. Aguilar doubled. Despaigne opens with a fastball up and in. Of course, Despaigne, when this road trip started, was in Atlanta. His wife due to give birth. He was overdue a couple of days. After that Atlanta series, he was able to get back to Miami, and happy to announce that Despaigne is a father for the first time. Congratulations to Drissimer and his wife, little baby boy.
Despaigne features the 4-seam fastball, cutter sinker. So throws a changeup, very good on righties. Two things he's done particularly well, and obviously it makes sense today. Brewers have their lineup in play going up against Peters, so a lot more righties out there. Despaigne been very good against the righties. He's also kept the ball in the yard. Pretty good combination for this ballpark, you'd think. One home run allowed this season.
Aguilar cuts and misses. And they count 3-2. Maracay Venezuela, 6'3", he's listed at 250, which might be a little generous. Into left, another hit and another run. Braun comes across. This feels like the 8th inning on Friday.
Never ending, right? For that walk to Woodruff, all with 2 outs. 5 consecutive Brewers have now reached base.
Manny Pena now. Matthew Boyd of the Tigers is through the 8th and his no-hitter intact. He's thrown 105 pitches. Pena pulls that one foul. One. Got inside. That foul back up here, though not quite to our location.
Seven hits this inning. That ties the Brewers' season high.
I'm stunned that they didn't have 7 hits in that 8th inning on Friday. I guess it's because they just hit 3 homers.
Yeah, I think it was the thump is what I was going to say.
A grand slam, a 3-run shot, and a solo shot. They had 6 hits that inning. Two balls, 2 strikes. Mets and Marlins tomorrow night. Mets are in Atlanta. And they have a 2-0 lead over the Braves. 7th. That's a liner. That's a hit. Ozuna picks it up. The parade continues. Shaw scores. And Milwaukee channeling their inner Harvey Wallbangers. Going back to those great teams in the late 70s, early 80s.
Oh, hey, listen, we talked about the urgency in this game. This is a big, big game for the Brewers. Their hopes for a wild card spot. Listen, they've got some head-to-heads with the Cardinals and the Cubs, and they believe here that they've got a shot. They can't forfeit. They could not lose this game and think that they were going to keep that in perspective. They gave up ground to the Cubs yesterday with the Marlins win. You've seen them today, and it's very interesting because the approach today, and we've talked throughout the series how much power they have in this lineup. This inning, no home runs, base hits, approach, lengthy at bats, a couple of key walks. Home runs are always fun, but what you see from this Brewers team right now is some very deliberate, under control at bats. I think even if you go back to game 1, we saw some more of that, like, let's swing for the fences. Not in this inning. Fox 0 for 2 today. Struck out his last time up.
It's been a long top of the 4th. And Despaigne misses in. Pena at first, Aguilar still at second. Chopper back to the mound, and it is done. But not before the Brewers put up 8 runs in the 4th, bring their fans to their feet, and an 8-0 lead. On top, great seats, and that is the statue for Bob Uecker. There's a great history in this city. First from the Milwaukee Braves. Henry Aaron Well, he started here, but came back and finished with the Brewers. Miller Park replaced County Stadium. The Brewers have yet to win a world championship. They did get to the World Series in '82. It's the battle of the breweries, Cardinals and Brewers. Obviously, Milwaukee was an American League team at the time. Yelich, and now Woodruff, who's been throwing quite well, has an 8-run cushion.
Well, he maybe had the biggest at bat last inning, right? As you referenced, you talk about that big walk against Peters. I agree.
And that was with 2 outs.
Well, and that's, you know, that's the out you believe you're supposed to get. I referenced it twice. I mean, Woodruff looked like a pretty good athlete, like he could swing the bat. But again, Peters went at him as if giving too much respect. Turned it into a walk, and that inning would include 7 additional hitters after that walk. I'll tell you what, it's a good test for Woodruff right here. He also had to wait about 20 minutes while that inning went on. He's already back out from the strike zone.
Yelich fouls that pitch off. You mentioned the urgency for Milwaukee and their fans with this game. The Cubs are winning again. The Cardinals have lost a couple games over these last 2 days and are in danger of doing that again here. It's just bottom of the 4th, but the Cubs are up 2-0.
Well, and that's the point. I mean, for the Brewers, you see that 94-mile-an-hour fastball dialed up the low zone. But for the Brewers in the series against the Marlins, I mean, here's the situation. The Cubs and the Cardinals are playing each other. Somebody's going to lose that day. It doesn't really matter. So the Brewers look at it like, we've got to win. We're making up games on somebody. Now, granted, I'm not sure if, you know, the Cubs sweeping is necessarily the best scenario, but somebody's losing. So they're at least creating some space, or maybe getting a little bit farther away from St. Louis, because they are in the wild card conversation as well.
And both of those teams are on the schedule for the Brewers. There's the Central right now, and 2 Chicago wins. Milwaukee splitting the first 2 with Miami, dropped them 4 back. And of course, the Cardinals have fallen 5 back. Ozuna knocks that one in the gap, right center field, and it's going to get to the wall at a rapid pace. A double for Ozuna. Miami has a hit in every inning against Woodruff.
And that's good to see for Marcell Ozuna. He had a couple of base hits yesterday, but they were, I'll call them a little bit more strategic. He was really trying to go the other way, and they weren't blistered. This ball was blistered the other way. It's a good fastball. He stayed on it. Now 3 hits in the last 2 games going to the opposite field. I told you how well he likes to see the ball in this ballpark, and he has good numbers, lots of home runs, but a good approach. Ozuna had been struggling here for the most part on this trip, and has really kind of found that stroke once again here over the last couple days.
Justin Bour now, he's 4 for 8 in the series. A line drive single in the 2nd. Brewers have their shift against Bour, and 3 infielders on the first base side of second. Bour hit a ball. You see where the second baseman Hernan Perez is playing. Bour hit a ball just over the second baseman's head, on a line actually, and just in front of the right fielder yesterday. And he rolls it that way, backhanded there on a hop, and Bour beats it. Well, that's a case, if you're going to play that deep, if you have to go to your right for anything, you're going to have a tough time getting the runner at first.
All right. Well, the jump throw is going to end up on a roll. Certainly understand. All right. So watch this. It's going to get past your shortstop right there on the dive. There's your second baseman behind it on the backhand. Now he's in short right field. Look at the throw. All right. Couldn't get a whole lot on it. It's just going to kind of come to a screeching halt right there. Another base hit for Justin Bour. A very nice series.
Do you score that as an infield hit, even though it was 30 feet in the outfield?
I don't.
Here's Dietrich with one out. Scoring the game with all the shifts has taken a somewhat of a turn, because essentially you're scoring the game to remind you of what has happened in the game.
I was thinking about this yesterday, and I was as the game was going on. I think it was Justin Bour's base hit into right field, his RBI base hit late in the game. Do you remember how the play went down? Right, so you had Santana coming in hard.
Dietrich lines it into right field. That's going to get down for a hit. Ozuna will score, and Bour gets to second. Miami has some signs of life here with a run and 2 on.
Good to see Derek himself an RBI base hit. He's been hitting for power here throughout this series. And yesterday, as I was talking about that base hit that Bour had into right field, to your point, and I was thinking about this. So it was a one-hopper to Santana. He was coming up the field, but like 5 feet in front of him, the second baseman was crossing his path. I mean, he had to be 305 feet, 310 feet out in right field, and the second baseman was out there with him. In all of my days, I never saw that.
Ichiro now, he popped out his first at bat. Woodruff misses in. Dietrich continues a nice series.
He's seen the ball well here at Miller Park, now hitting over 350 his career.
Ichiro left field line. That's a hit. Going to get into the corner. Bour will score. Dietrich to third. Stop sign up. Dietrich going to run through it. Throw home, and it hits him in the back, and he scores. Dietrich had read it, and his attention was in the left field corner. And I think by the time he committed, he was by Freddie Gonzalez.
Yeah, it works out once again. Marlins team fighting back. Get some fastballs to pick on. You see out over the plate, Ichiro slashing one down the left field line. All right, watch the boys. They're off to the races. This ball's not going to get caught. And once it gets all the way into the corner, you see Braun, he's at the mercy of the roll. All he's trying to do is get it back in. It takes a little bit of time. And I think either way, Dietrich beats that. I'm saying the ball doesn't hit him in the back. You have the catcher catch it. He still beats it.
It's going to go as a 2-run double for Ichiro.
Well, you wondered about this young man's concentration. Mistake to an 8-0 lead. Coming back out for the 4th inning. I mean, it's just as important to make pitchers pitches, and you've seen so far this inning a lot more hittable pitches. Fastballs out over the plate. This Marlins lineup ready to do damage. That's 4 consecutive hits.
It's only bottom 4. Miami has a chance to chase home another run here. Giancarlo Stanton has appeared on deck, and Aviles takes a fastball down low. And Don Mattingly is sensing that you might as well go for as much as you can right now. Stanton did not start in the game. Aviles, little dribbler up the middle. It's going to move Ichiro to third. And so this is going to be a Giancarlo Stanton at bat with 2 outs. 3 runs across, but Miami down 5.
I like the move here. I think it's the right thing to do. Managers traditionally will leave their best pinch hitters or their big thumpers for late in the ball game, see if they can get back. I like the idea of going for it here. Listen, D. Gordon's got a couple hits in this ball game already. He's probably had, you could argue, the best at bats against Woodruff so far. So he's on deck. Well, let's see if Woodruff, who's feeling the pressure right now, makes a mistake to Stanton, who gets this at bat here in the bottom of the 4th.
3 infielders on the third base side. Stanton hits it to that side. It deflects off of Shaw. Arcia's throw is in time to get Stanton. And the inning ends on a fortunate bounce for the Brewers. But Miami is off the canvas to start with. They get 3 runs. now, top 5. Brewers on top. Geico on this Sunday in Milwaukee brings you a little Pat Rapp history in this date in Marlins history. 1-hit shutout at Coors Field, which is impressive. Marlins beat the Rockies 17-0. Club record for largest margin of victory in a shutout.
Well, no surprise it happened at altitude. All around good day for the Marlins. 17-0.
Wei-Yin Chen into the ball game. And this is exactly why the Marlins have pushed to get Chen back in, even though it's just the bullpen for the remainder of the season. A game like this, Chen, who takes a while to get loose, he's still used to the starter's protocol of warming up. You could tell with that the way this ball game has gone. Chen up in that inning once the Marlins started to score runs. Said he needs about 10 minutes, and he got his 10 minutes, and here he is.
So far, so good. 3 innings of work over 2 appearances. No runs, no walks, a couple strikeouts.
Garcia fouls that back.
And he hasn't changed his arsenal. Still throwing the fastball, the big curveball, changeup as well. Everything's the same other than when he pitches.
Matthew Boyd lost his no-hitter. Over Chen. Aviles just got him on a close play at first base. Tim Anderson doubled on a line drive to right field with 2 outs in the 9th inning, and Boyd came so close to that no-hitter. Woodruff will hit here. And I think one of the reasons why, remember the bullpen game 2 nights ago, 8 relievers worked in that game, and the Brewers went to the pen early yesterday as well.
Well, and I believe Sutter's getting the start tomorrow for the Brewers, which could potentially set them up for more bullpen innings. I don't believe that they're going, I mean, he's not completely stretched out. So I know this. I mean, he's not going 100 pitches tomorrow. I'd be shocked. So he's potentially got more bullpen games coming. You're absolutely right. That's what I meant by Woodruff really establishing himself. If he starts to throw the ball well in September, he is going to get the call every 5th day. You can almost count on it. That's where the Brewers are right now. And you're right. They had the bullpen day on Friday. Yesterday, they had 4 more bullpen innings.
They should build some sort of promotion around the bullpen day.
Yeah.
If you bring a group of 8 or more, you get to sit in 8 different spots throughout the game.
You just keep moving around the ballpark.
Right. Every inning you get up and change.
Right.
That's strike 3 called. Chen striking out Woodruff.
There you go. Yeah. Start out behind home plate and just kind of work the way around the park.
Matt Harvey tomorrow. Marlins going with Dan Straley.
Might be a good time to get some payback. Harvey has not looked like the Matt Harvey we have seen in years past. A rough time coming back. Velocity not all the way there yet. So let's see if the Marlins can't get to Matt Harvey.
Hernan Perez singled in the 4th. Boy, this is a 3-game series, but there are 2 innings that have affected this series and swung it the Brewers' way. That was the 8th inning on Friday night. In a 2-2 game, the Brewers hung 8 runs up in that inning. And the Florida Lottery in-game jackpot, 8 more runs on 8 hits in the 4th inning today.
That's definitely a jackpot in baseball terms. Well, it usually is anyway. In part has been somewhat of an issue for the Marlins of late. That's what plagued them in even Philly. Marlins have had some offensive outbursts, and they haven't been able to turn those jackpots into wins.
Bohr has room, makes the catch. Wei-Yin Chen, nice inning there. Marlins hope to get a little more out of him here this afternoon. 8-3 Milwaukee. And Marlins baseball on Fox Sports Florida is brought to you by the all-new Jeep Compass. By Hankook Tires, chase down your passion, never halfway. And by your South Florida Chevy dealers. 8-3 Brewers on top. Let's check in with Jessica Blaylock. Jess?
Hey, Rich, it's been a really nice second half for D. Gordon. He has a batting average of .305. He scored 101 runs. I asked him today, where does he feel like he is at this point in the season compared to where he was last season? And he said, look, last year was really tough. Coming back from that suspension, I put a lot of pressure on myself to prove to people that I could come back and pick up where I had left off, and I really suffered because of it. This year, I wanted to get back to just playing baseball, taking pressure off of myself, and guys, it's shown in the numbers. Another multi-hit game for D today.
Yeah, you're right, Jess. He just came off a 17-game hit streak. Bounces out there against Brandon Woodruff. And we're halfway through here in Milwaukee, bottom 5. JT Realmuto, Christian Yelich also due up.
Man, I'll tell you what, I love this dynamic, and hopefully we'll get to see more of it before the season's over. That D. Gordon, Giancarlo Stanton, when they were at their best, boy, oh boy, that was one of the best, at least most enjoyable tandems. I really loved watching that dynamic when D was over at first base and on base, and Stanton was locked in the box. The pressure it put on the mound and how it affected the rest of the team. I mean, there's a lot of so many good positive things coming out of that situation right there. D's even getting a feel for it again, and if it is in play next year, we'll see.
Realmuto lifts that into right center. Broxton calls off Perez and makes the catch. Marlins got to Woodruff in the 4th inning. There's the part of the Marlins family contingency traveling here. Got a nice little section down there in right field.
Hey, Mars.
The Hollinsworth family.
Tug and tie, yep, down there in the corner. I see him.
The Ozuna family, the Colon family, the Chen family.
The bricks.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, those bricks in that wall are from County Stadium. It's pretty cool. Brought those over.
Yes, they solidified it with the red sauce from the brats that came over as well.
It works.
8-3 Milwaukee. We're headed to the 6th. All right, thank you, Craig. Wei-Yin Chen in the ball game into his second inning of work in the 6th. Milwaukee 8 runs in the 4th. In fact, Miami got their runs in the 4th as well. So all 11 runs in this game in the same inning. And this guy, Domingo Santana, has been a pain in the neck the whole series. He singled in the 1st, walked in the 3rd. 3-run double in the 4th.
3-run home run in game 1 as well. It's definitely a big part of what they do.
Wei-Yin Chen looks good.
He certainly does.
Santana strikes out. There's 1 out.
Tomorrow is Salute and Serve Monday, and we invite those who served join us for a ball game. Active and retired U.S. military, veterans, fire, and police personnel receive 2 complimentary tickets when showing their official service IDs at the Marlins Park ticket office. For more information, visit marlins.com/promotions. It's going to be
right field line, and Braun nearly had another right field home run. That one just wide of the foul pole.
Going to be good to get back home. These Marlins players are excited. A lot of the families maybe even a little anxious.
Count 0-2. Nice catch.
How you doing? There you go.
Braun sends it left center. Yelich missed it. Got right by him. Braun around second, on his way to third. It looked like Yelich.
I think it's as simple as overrunning a baseball. That's just really what it comes down to. Christian Yelich was absolutely flying across the outfield, streaking into left center field. He got there. In fact, I think he overran the baseball. Let's take another look. Yeah, he misjudged it just a little bit. He thought he was in a different spot. You're right. He actually pulled up a little bit. Kind of pointing up to the lights. You wonder if, in fact, that ball ended up in the lights. Now you watch. Just before that right there, pulled up just a smidge, thinking he was in the right spot.
So the infield has to come in. Three bases for Braun. Infield in for Shaw. Travis Shaw's got 2 hits. And he sends that one deep right center. Ichiro at the track makes the catch. Tagging and scoring is Braun.
Shaw pick up his second RBI in the afternoon.
9-3.
The sacrifice fly. He's pursuing 100 RBIs on the season. That's set up obviously by the what I'll assume the triple from Braun.
Aguilar on a 3-for-3 afternoon. Single, double, single. Chen throws a strike. Chen got the glove down, knocks it down, picks it up, flips to first in time to get the out. Milwaukee adds a run, and it's 9-3.
Set, go.
Big day in Milwaukee, sausage race, and it's the relay race with the mini weenies.
Well, some pacing going on here, right?
That's right.
Kind of lagging behind, letting the slow roasting.
Getting set to pass the baton, so to speak. And there they go.
Indeed.
Oh, the Italian is
He's
winning
got it.
and celebrating.
Wait. That's illegal.
No, no celebrating,
Come on.
no taunting in this race, and that's costly. That was a costly mistake by the small Italian sausage.
Number 2, strong right arm.
Well, Miami in a 6-run hole here in the bottom of the 6th inning. Marcelo Zuna, line drive hit to right. His last time up, it went for a double, went all the way to the wall. You got Justin Boers 2 for 2, and then Derek Dietrich, who has an RBI single. Brandon Woodruff is in great shape as far as pitch count goes. Long run for Santana, and he gets there. Fox Sports Supports is proud to team up with Snowball Express in their commitment to providing new happy memories to the families of our fallen heroes from 9/11. Snowball Express provides an annual life-changing event to make each child feel special. Visit foxsportsupports.com for more.
Justin Boers steps in, couple of hits today.
Boer takes a fastball up. Boer hit a ball on the ground between Arcia, the shortstop, and Perez, the second baseman, but it was out in right center field. And Perez is still deep out there now. Justin hit it sharp enough to get it by Arcia, and Perez was out there in shallow right, had to go to his right.
Anything from the shortstop position over to the left field line's a base hit. Nobody even defending over there.
even though it's overcast, there's a lot of glare in this ballpark. We just saw Christian Yelich battle that. A lot of that has to do with the windows above the first and third base seats. The board going with sunglasses. And a lot of times those sunglasses enhance their sight, enhance the baseball. Schlitz. Tall boy.
He's got his glasses on.
Is that a hat or is it a beer fez? What is that?
It's beer fez.
2-2. This is certainly a beer town. Last night, driving back to the hotel, the ballpark is just outside of downtown. Drive right by the big Miller Brewery. You expect to see Laverne and Shirley getting off their shift.
It is a huge factory.
Four strikes out.
Woodruff still getting it up there. Pretty good. Set that at bat up pretty well after falling behind 2-0. Well, fastball's down in the zone and able to get above Justin's hands. There were 2 strikes. They're clocking in at 96 to 98 miles an hour. See right there, it's above the belt. And that pitch has purpose because of where he was prior to that, down in the zone.
Dietrich now. RBI singles popped out. Woodruff gets a strike. Cubs lead the Cardinals 3-0 now, so that's a bit of frustration for Brewer fans. They were hoping that those teams would knock each other off in that 3-game series. If the score holds, it's a Cubs sweep. Now the Cubs come in here for 4 games. It's part of the remaining schedule for Milwaukee. They're in Pittsburgh for 3, home against the Cubs for 4, home against the Reds for 3. Dietrich's floater into center is caught there by Broxton. And a 1-2-3 6th for Miami. Brought to you by Toyota. The comparison through September 16th from last year, complete turnaround. And the runs per game isn't a big difference. The overall ERA, there isn't a big difference. A few more home runs. Fielding percentage, not a big difference. So Todd Hollinsworth, as you look at those numbers, what happened? What's the biggest difference, 16 to 17?
Well, I think there is one thing, at least in my mind, that stands out. Name is Knievel. the closer. When you play games like the Brewers play, I mean, you're in a lot of ball games. You score some runs, you give up some runs. You got to have a good bullpen. And what have we seen down the stretch? They've been a great bullpen over the last couple of months.
Corey Knebel. There's 35 saves.
Yeah, there you go. And to me, I mean, he's so dominant, and he's been so good this year. And in fact, the Marlins haven't seen him in this series. He's the answer. He's the answer to the close ball games. I mean, they're a 36-36 team on the road. So that's 500. That's a pretty decent record. You don't mind that, and you want to win at home. You talk to anybody around here, they admit they've got some things they got to get figured out. But you see those numbers right there. That man right there, to me, is the #1 reason why this team has got a shot.
Hard ground ball. Aviles on to first. Javi Guerra in the ball game for Miami. Manny Pena bounces out. Marlins getting a couple of scoreless innings from Wei-Yin Chen. Excuse me. A couple of innings and a run, and it is earned. That was a triple off the bat of Braun. There's Keon Broxton. Jeep Compass game break is coming up. Craig Minervini, Jeff Conine right now are straightening their ties and getting the hair just perfect. Normal routine is those two host Marlins Live, and then quickly they hop in Niners Ride, and it's just a short drive to the beach. And then they get a text on their cell phone, hey, come back. The Jeep Compass game break's coming in.
Well, Javi Guerra's done a pretty nice job since being recalled and getting a few opportunities. Last time out, 3 2/3. That was in Philadelphia. They really needed for him to go long in that bullpen appearance. He did. Gave up 1 earned run, but certainly helped get through that tough last game in Philly.
Broxton pulls it to foul. So who's the mascot of the Brewers? Is it this guy? Is it Barrel Man?
No.
Is it Bernie? Because Bernie only stays in his chalet.
Yeah, no, I don't care. That's to me, he's the man.
I've been told Barrel Man is the original.
Yeah.
And they've brought him back.
Doesn't really matter to me. I'm going with Bernie.
Remember they had the dog that used to bring baseballs out? Hank the dog? That one's in the center field. And Broxton has a base hit. Actually, Hank the dog was the dog that the Brewers adopted in spring training down in Arizona. Broxton a single. Yeah, Barrelman is a interesting cat. He sort of almost looks like the Tin Man from Wizard of Oz in a barrel.
Yeah,
painted white.
I'm a little nervous. I feel like Bernie's much friendlier. He's constantly waving. You know, he sits atop his perch up there in the dugout. See, like that. That's kind of scary to me.
Yeah, but Barrelman doesn't look like he dips into the Miller Lights at all.
He looks like he might bop me on the head with that bat.
Bernie looks like he's been in his man cave all day, pounding beverages, watching the game. His shirt's somewhat untucked.
That's his job. That's what he's supposed to do. He's always happy. Look, he's got a perma smile.
He looks like a barkeep.
That's right. Hat on backwards. He's got his Miami shorts on. I am the greatest in all the land.
So you're going Bernie
absolutely.
instead of Barrelman.
For sure. I told you, look at that. Bernie sits up there. He's on top of all of us. He's looking down at us all game long.
Barrelman looks like he has a turret for a head.
It
just spins around.
It kind of bothers me, right?
Odd,
if you've noticed, that's kind of what throws me off with certain mascots. Like if I see something that just doesn't add up, like see how his arms are normal, but his face is not. That disturbs me. He looks very friendly, except for this area.
He looks like he's got a Michigan hat on, though. I know that's probably a throwback Brewers cap, but all I can think of is Harbaugh when I see him.
Maybe he's got khakis on.
Up the middle, Gordon flips it. Aviles turns it. And Javi Guerra works a scoreless 7th inning. All right, Barrelman, take us to the studios for this Jeep Compass game break. Traditional song, Roll Out the Barrel. This is Barrelman's big moment. The gang is all here.
Get the ballpark pass and receive mobile access to every remaining regular season home game for only $29.99. Those for great matchups, giveaways, fireworks, and more during the home stretch of the 2017 season. For more information, download the MLB.com ballpark app. Visit Marlins.com/pass today. Some restrictions do apply.
Brandon Woodruff has only thrown 76 pitches through 6 innings. See the fly ball outs, a lot of weak pop-ups too. He hasn't walked anybody, struck out 5. Ichiro takes out. Ichiro, a 2-run double his last time up. He's 1 for 2.
Yeah, the only vulnerability that Woodruff really showed was after the long inning that the Brewers had in the top of the 4th. They put up an 8 spot. He came up, what, 20-25 minute delay, and his fastball command was not on. Marlins jumped him. Other than that, he's been pretty good. He factored in, used that changeup a little bit, as you just saw, 85 miles an hour. He's had a good fastball, and that velocity's been there almost all day.
You saw no action in the Milwaukee bullpen. Cho swings and misses. It's 1-2. Well, good news here. Not only 7th inning stretch, roll out the barrel man doing his thing. The Cardinals have scored 3 times in Chicago to tie that game. Brewer fans are Cardinal fans. Miller is rooting for Budweiser.
Not sure they'd admit to that.
Amazed that didn't hit him. It sounded like it hit something. Maybe it was the catcher's glove that the ball glanced off. Ichiro avoids getting hit. Yeah, it did. Just the edge of the glove.
Slider chased all the way in. Right back to it. Credit for it.
Ichiro very slowly but surely is up to his average. Started the day at 260. Sits at 263. Busted bat. And a foul ball. Ichiro always carries the 2 bats out. Places them in the proper spot. And he'll get a new one here. Two balls, 2 strikes. Another foul ball. Dexter Fowler with a home run. A 2-run shot and a Yadi Molina RBI double. That's how the Cardinals have tied it.
Well, the Cardinals have been playing some pretty good baseball here in the second half. To get back in the race. You're right. It's a huge game.
Ichiro shoots another one down the line, foul.
Colorado up 3-0 on San Diego in the 5th.
I'll tell you about a team that no one really talks about that has just kept afloat and now has made a move in that American League wild card, and that's the Angels. They're a game back of Minnesota now. The Angels are 76 and 72. A little separation between themselves and Seattle. That one back behind third, and Shaw is there to run it down. Micah Vilas coming up. Kansas City is under 500. Seattle's under 500. Texas under 500. Baltimore, the Rays, and Toronto all under 500 in that wild card race. New York has the #1 spot. Minnesota, but by just a game over the Angels. Minnesota in that 2nd spot. And Minnesota is piling on Toronto 13-5. Finally some action in Milwaukee's bullpen. Minnesota's up 13-5, bottom 6. Check swing. This could be a check swing double down the line. No, it'll be a single. Sometimes a check swing will get you hit.
Yeah, you find that barrel. It's a pretty good example of what the barrel does.
Roll out the barrel.
Well, he did. How about that barrel right there? See? He wasn't even looking in that direction. So this is a mistake, but it's a good mistake. How about it? Telly's going to get the pinch hit opportunity.
Give me your estimate of exit velocity on the Avila's check swing.
Oh, 79.
Actually 69. 69 miles an hour.
Not a bad guess. 69, yeah, there you go. I think the sound is what got us. It made it feel right. Caught it right off the barrel, and that shows you even on a half swing what velocity from the mound to the barrel of the battle it will do. Even on a half swing. I'll jump all the way out to the outfield.
Talese sends this one into the left field corner. Braun there to get it. Justin Nicolino in Miami's bullpen. Here's D. Gordon. Couple hits for Gordon. He's 2 for 3.
Greg Counsell has to be thrilled. No matter what happens the rest of this ball game, Woodruff has given him innings today. Mentioned that start against the Nationals beginning of September 2nd. Probably Woodruff's best start as a big leaguer against the Nats. 7 innings, only a couple hits.
It's a good lineup.
Yeah, well, and I think the reflection is a solid one. 8 strikeouts. You see what he's been able to do.
On to first. D. Gordon is retired. And Brandon Woodruff, the 24-year-old out of Wheeler, Mississippi, getting a nice ovation. Very good start here today. Nicolino is on the mound. Miami's run through their bullpen here after a short start from Dylan Peters. An 8-run 4th inning will do that to a starter. And Nicolino arrives in the top of the 8th. Nicolino worked on Thursday. Jonathan Villar will get the pinch hit at bat, so that's the end of the road for Brandon Woodruff. And he was outstanding. VR takes a fastball in. Top of the order, Perez and Santana following VR's appearance. Ball in the strike. VR's been starting at second base some this year, 83 starts there. He's also played some outfield. He had a really nice August. Hit 364.
An outstanding season last year, VR did. He's kind of fallen into a little bit more of a platoon role now.
VR last year led the majors in stolen bases, had 62 of them.
Right.
In fact, he was the first player in all of baseball since Carl Crawford in 2009 to have 60 or more stolen bases and 15 or more home runs. Hit 19 homers, swiped 62 bags. Jam shot, that's going to fall behind Bohr. Trickle down the line. VR's on his way to second. And he's in there with a double.
Well, got a good look at that speed. They hit it about 110 feet down the right field line. Justin Bohr everything he's got to try to catch this. And once it gets away from him, it's just trickling down into the corner. And Nicolino beat him. Gonna get a double out of it.
Marlins are looking at the replay to see if his leg came off. And no challenge.
We are hitting over 390 for his last 20 games. You watch the left leg, kind of drags past. Keeps the tag on. Is the other foot on? Yeah, you can see right there the left foot's off, but I believe the right foot is on the bag.
It's like Twister. There was a minor league, speaking of that, there was a minor league team a few weeks ago, and it may have been the St. Paul Saints because they usually do a lot of fun stuff, but they put dots, they covered the entire outfield with dots, and it became just one big Twister game out there. Left foot green.
Right.
Right hand blue. Oh-2 comebacker. Nicolino has it. On to first. Perez is out. Santana is next. And so are the Mets. Tomorrow night, 6:30. For Marlins Live, you can settle in with Eldorado Furniture and see Dan Straley and Matt Harvey. Mets and Marlins. Marlins back home for the first time in a while. And it will be a real short stay. Marlins and Mets have a 1 o'clock game on Wednesday, and the Fish are leaving right after that game and headed to Arizona.
Dan Straley looking for a bounce back start. He's thrown the ball very well at Marlins Park this year, so it's important for him. Get back on track. He's got a few starts left in this season.
Santana takes. Domingo Santana, really nice season. one of the many Brewers that came out of the Houston organization. He arrived in the Carlos Gomez trade, which included Mike Fiers. He's having a big year. 25 homers, knocked in 77, including 6 runs driven in this series.
Every Brewer starter has a base hit in today's game.
Strike, and it's 3-1. Well, not really, but Ryan Braun's on deck. An out here in the 8th.
Ball sprayed foul to the right. Craig Counsell, 117 different lineups this year. Well, we did see this lineup yesterday, so there wasn't any change other than the pitcher spot. We've talked about this all throughout the series, the versatility of this team.
Nicolino loses Santana. It's going to bring up Ryan Braun. So a near no-hitter for Matthew Boyd of the Tigers. Josh Donaldson has popped a couple homers. He went 481 feet in his ball game. Although the Twins lead it 13-6. Over Toronto in the top of the 7th. Houston 7-1 over Seattle. That was Justin Verlander's debut. Verlander 7 innings, 10 strikeouts, walked 1. So that went well. And I believe the Astros can clinch with a win. Clinch the West. Oakland beat the Phillies 6-3.
Ryan Braun, a triple in today's ball game. Scored a couple runs, also a walk.
Milwaukee trying to get back to the postseason for the first time since 2011. They won 96 games, lost in the division series to St. Louis. Braun shooting for that right field corner again, and he misses. He homered in that spot in yesterday's ball game.
Really, especially against the lefty, allow that pitch away to get deep in the zone. had that home run. He's had a few close foul balls, deep foul balls down that right field line as well. I'll tell you what, if this series is any indicator, Braun's starting to heat up. Watch out. Hit the ball hard to center field a few times as well.
Well, that's center field, but Yelich is under it. And he'll make the catch. Santana holding first. VR arrives back at third. Braun a fly ball out. Nicolino's got 2 outs. Here's Travis Shaw. Yankees lost 6-4. Baltimore beat him, but the Yankees still pretty healthy, ensconced in that #1 wild card spot, and 3 games behind Boston. They didn't lose any ground because Boston lost to the Rays 3-2. Cleveland won again. Indians run their win streak to 2. So they've won 24 of 25. That Mets game is a final now, 5-1. New York wins in Atlanta. As Drupal Cabrera, a home run. Jose Reyes had a triple.
Good change up by Nicolino.
Going to catch that corner. Into center, that's a hit. Travis Shaw knocks in his 3rd run on now a 3-for-4 day.
95 RBIs on the season. See the leg kick. We talk about this all the time, getting yourself into hitters' counts. Travis Shaw did just that. Laid off a couple of borderline pitches. He was nibbling on the corner, Nicolino was, and himself a 2-1 fastball and didn't miss it. Throw it right back through the box. Brewers up 10-3.
Aguilar. He's got 3 hits. The Brewers have pounded out 15 in the game.
Get the hit again in the 9th.
Yes, they do. Bernie Brewer surveying his kingdom here.
Among those 15 hits, no homers.
That's right.
He's just got to stand pat up there and clap.
He gets to go down the slide, I believe, when the game starts. The fireworks.
Right. But in game action only when there's a home run.
Would that be failure to launch?
Pretty much. He'll just sit up there and clap. He's strapped in. He can't go anywhere.
Aviles bobbles. on to first in time to get the outs. Brewers add a run. It's 10-3. Look alive, Bernie. And 3. Brewers on top.
MLB.com at bat is your #1 mobile app for live Marlins baseball. Stay connected with a fully customizable experience. Club-based home screen icons and app features, as well as game day, video highlights, radio broadcasts, StatCast, news, and more. Download MLB.com at bat today.
Yes. If you've ever been to Camp Randall, fourth quarter jump around, that place bounces. It is one of the great traditions in college football. Badgers victorious yesterday. Ladies and gentlemen, please make a note that Hernan Perez is no longer at second. He occupies first. Or excuse me, he's at third. Maybe I should
probably good play first.
Pay attention myself. Jonathan VR is at second. We're distracted by a cheesehead. Actually, a baseball helmet made of cheese.
There's a lot of things made of cheese up here.
So Shaw is out. Jacob Barnes is the new pitcher. And see, I told you Hernan Perez should have been at first.
You're right.
It's going to be an E5.
JT hits over the top of this one. Little slow roller to the right side. Perez charges hard. Didn't get all the way down. Thought that ball was going to come up a little bit higher. You see JT always hustling. Always playing hard.
So bottom 8 opens with a base runner. Yelich with Ozuna and then Bohr. Giancarlo Stanton did not start. He has pinch hit. He made an out back in the 4th inning as Yelich rolls one the right side. Realmuto up to second.
Jacob Barnes last pitched on Friday. Scoreless inning against the Marlins. He's been a well-used constant out of the Brewers bullpen. 68th appearance. What is batting average against? .228.
Marlins, of course, going to see the Rockies here pretty soon. Rockies are shutting out the Padres 3-0 in Denver in the bottom of the 5th. Marcell Ozuna doubled in the 4th on a 1-for-3 afternoon. Corey Knebel starting to stir. Obviously not a safe situation, but every closer needs work. Real Muto will take 3rd on that bouncer back to the mound. And you can see that makes managers nervous when their closer's got a lot of zeros up during the week. And you might as well get him in there and let him work.
The point's a good one. Typically when you see that, you're thinking, oh, we're not winning games. You know, your closer's not in there. And over the last couple of ball games, at least the 2 games in this series that we know of, that offense has erupted. They've been non-save situations, so he's gained some rest. Get him ready. These are all meaningful games all the way down the stretch. Knebel maybe comes in and picks up an inning. Maybe the 9th.
Justin Bour has a couple hits, 5 hits in the series on a 2-for-3 day. The run scoring hits for Miami, a Dietrich RBI single in the 4th, 2-run double by Ichiro also in that 4th inning. And that's it. That Houston game is a final. It's 7-1. We told you they had an opportunity to clinch on a Verlander start, his home debut. And for Houston, remember they swapped leagues. That's their first American League West crown. I think it's their first divisional title in 16 years.
Feels right. It's been a while. But I don't think any of us is surprised this year, right?
Well, they made a great acquisition to start the season by hiring Todd Callis to do their games. Todd, longtime Rays sideline announcer and a very, very good broadcaster and a very, very good guy. So we're thrilled for him.
Brought a 5 WAR to the table this year.
Yes. Yes.
My understanding that they had a -1 in that position last year.
Well, easy there. I think it's wins against replacement. So if they had to replace him with an average replacement announcer, he would be 5 runs better.
No, I was just speaking to the volumes of improvement.
There's a liner. Aguilar makes the catch. Bour lines out. 10-3 Milwaukee. is brought to you by Southwest. Transparency, low fares, nothing to hide. By the all-new Jeep Compass. And by your South Florida Honda dealers. Hurry into the Summerbration sales event today. The waterfront here, lakefront, if you will, in Milwaukee is spectacular. Beautiful art museum, all kinds of cool stuff. This is a town on the move. They have, over the last 8 to 10 years, added an awful lot of stuff, and there's a ton of new stuff coming online in Milwaukee. And in Milwaukee, the Brewers have a 10-3 lead. Justin Nicolino, his second inning of relief. Manny Pena, Keon Broxton, Orlando Arcia are on the docket for this, the top of the ninth. Nationals Dodgers, the Sunday night game tonight. I double checked, and yes, for Houston, first division title since 2001. You know who's playing better lately? Who you got? Cincinnati. Cincinnati's up to 66 wins. And they were really buried. They've almost caught Pittsburgh in the standings.
Some of their younger arms getting some opportunities in that rotation have been pitching well.
Robert Stevenson won today.
5-5.
Yes.
Castillo has been throwing the ball particularly well.
Three ball game, Cardinals and Cubs as well. That's in the bottom of the 7th. That's in Ichiro's glove. And we check in with Jessica Blaylock. Jess?
Hey, Rich, the Marlins are on their way back to Miami tonight, and they have announced that for all of their remaining home games, they'll be giving free admission to first responders and residents of Monroe County. First responders can make their way to the center field entrance, and Monroe County residents can go to the north ticket window. You can pick up tickets an hour and a half before the games begin. Make sure you have proper ID with you to receive 2 complimentary tickets. For full details, go to marlins.com/gameonus. That's a really nice gesture by the team, guys.
Very nice. We look forward to seeing you and the Mets and the Marlins tomorrow night. Marlins gear, we've seen it this weekend. This is one of those ballparks and one of the fan bases that wears a lot of team gear.
Yep.
Last night, as we, after the post-game show and all that, walked down through the home plate entrance, you could see the team store, big team store, and it was loaded with people.
Well, there was a line out the door. Couldn't get over it.
I think a lot of them were buying those shirts that helped the hurricane relief in Florida. Those 2 guys I did not see, thankfully. They say as a television play-by-play announcer, you're supposed to put a caption with the picture. I don't know what to say on that.
All right.
Broxton to left. And he's got a hit.
End of the ball game for Broxton. I like the upside of this young man. He's got a lot of talent. I told you earlier in the series, he's a stolen base away. Not sure this is the spot you'd see it, but a stolen base away from the 2020 season. Got some power. Couldn't get over the streakiness, though. Broxton, I think that's why his playing time has been sporadic.
Arcia now 1 for 4. He will have fond memories of Miami in 2017. Not that he went there, but that he lit the Marlins up to the tune of 10 for 18. Aviles, a little backhand pick, flip on over to first. And it gets the out. Brings up VR now.
VR, a bloop double on the right field line in the second. Excuse me, the eighth. Don't know where that came from.
It's been a long trip.
It has.
It's all right. I've stumbled a few times today as well.
It is the now ninth inning, yes. This is his second at bat.
"16 hits for Milwaukee. And it will be interesting to see if this Craig Counsell mix and match, tape it together, is able to keep the Brewers in the last 2 weeks, get a little closer to the Cubs, maybe get a little closer to the Rockies.
Well, they're in that position. We talked about this a few weeks ago with the Marlins, you know, hoping that you would make this series. Obviously, it was supposed to be played back in Miami, for the road trip coming up. Arizona and Colorado mean something. Well, interestingly enough, I think the Brewers find themselves in that exact same position. They're far enough out right now that what they need to do is when they play the Cubs, they basically have to sweep. So what can they do to make up some games? Well, you look to the other games and you say, okay, well, where can they make up ground? They've got to play better than the Cubs down the stretch. The Cubs are playing pretty good baseball right now. So with the Cardinals, they've been hanging in there. So I don't want to say that the Brew Crew necessarily needs to win out, but boy, oh boy, I'll tell you. 87 wins, 88 wins. Is that what's going to get you in? Look at the number that they're at. See what I mean? They're at 78. So I mean, you're asking for maybe 10 more wins.
Right, and Colorado's win total and the Cubs win total are very close. 88. '88 would be tough to get if you are the Brewers.
Right.
And the important part is when you're getting those wins, you need to beat the Cubs.
Well, and that's, like I said, they've got the 4-game series, and they've got it here. And from somebody who's lived a lot in the Midwest, speaking of myself here, in knowing how this series goes, the Cubs are going to pack this place out in that 4-game series that's coming up. I think it's the 21st through the 24th. And this is going to be one crazy environment. The Brewers would love to make that series matter, but if you're 3.5 games back and you've got a 4-game series, what do you have to do against the Cubs? You got to sweep them. Well, it's tough to do. Not saying it can't happen. Tell you what, puts a lot of pressure on game one, though, doesn't it?
It does. You know, we went over the schedule for the Brewers. The Cubs have to go to the Rays for a couple games. And then they come here for 4. And then they go to St. Louis for 4. So that's an extended 10-day trip for the Cubs. They finish with 3 against Cincinnati. So the Cubs going to have to do it on the road.
Yep. The significance of the Jimmy Nelson loss is big. I know that may not necessarily be felt in this series, as the Brewers have gotten quite offensive over these 3 games and really taken it to the Marlins. Obviously yesterday the loss. I think Jimmy Nelson is the counterpunch to everybody else's ace.
Ozuna's out there, hauls it in. Brewers leave 2. And we get to the bottom of the ninth. 10-3, Milwaukee. Brewer fans here. You want to say the games were sold out, but they really weren't. But the allotment of tickets, it looked like the Brewer fans filled up the maximum allowed capacity for these 3 games, which is right around 22 to 24,000, depending on the number of staff they were able to get in here. Taylor Williams comes in for Milwaukee. Williams into his 3rd game this year.
His Major League debut, September 6th versus the Reds.
Brett Phillips is going to give Ryan Braun the bottom of the 9th off. Derek Dietrich, Ichiro, and then Mike Aviles. There's out number 1. Matt Harvey and the Mets at Marlins Park tomorrow night, 6:30 Marlins Live. Dan Straley goes for the Fish. It's a 3-game series, Monday and Tuesday night, and then Wednesday afternoon.
Ichiro, a 2-run double in today's ball game.
Williams coming right after him. It's 0-2.
95 to 97 with the fastball. You've seen it so far. Tommy John surgery, missed 2015 and 2016.
Arce again.
Good swing of the bat by Ichiro here in the 9th. Backup slider. The remaining Brewers fans on their feet.
Yeah, they've enjoyed themselves. They've been great hosts. They've gone out of their way to make the Marlins and their families feel as at home as they can. They were great to us when we were wandering around the parking lot looking for a good tailgate to join. We put the Marlins families out in that right field bullpen area, let them run around for the day. Arcia handles everything in the 9th. And Milwaukee wins this series. They capture Sunday, and they do it